We have some new developments when it comes to the Andrew Tate, Tristan Tate, Georgiana and Luana being snatched up and kept inside the Romanian prison for the foreseeable future. I'm thinking that they're just going to go the entire 6 months. But like I said, we have some new developments which are actually, they're pretty good. Well, except for the brothers specifically. But before we get there, our good man Suleiman Ahmed, one more time, an actual investigative journalist, going down there, running the numbers, checking the receipts, and he's come out with a couple of very interesting developments when it comes to the prosecution and to the judges as well. And it's another reason, man, where I see this stuff and it's really troublesome if they manage to find some sort of crimes to actually allege on the group's name, because well, you take a look at the political proclivities of the people involved in this stuff, and if they manage to concoct any sort of crimes to throw on these guys' names, man, I don't. You got to entertain it for the fact that it's a very real possibility, but then at the same time, man, if the world falls into that state where you can just put some false accusations on anybody's name, snatch everybody up because they just get too powerful and too influential, like we're seeing with Trump stateside, and then of course abroad in a EU country, by the way, like Romania is a part of the EU, for Christ's sakes, and they're allowing this injustice to go on, but it could be coming to an end. It could be. I wouldn't hold my breath, though. Andrew Tate, the vendetta of a judge and judiciary. A preventative detention of Andrew, Tristan, Luana, Georgiana have been extended for another 30 days until they will be held in captivity. I think what I seen there was not August. Oh, Christ almighty. Fucking, hopefully not. But April 26th is right now until that order runs out, and then they still have another 60 days left in the barrel. I'm thinking, man, it's not going to be until June 27th that the crew sees the light of day if they don't, run up and find some evidence. Because, again, what have they provided so far? We know what they're not looking at, which is any of the exculpatory evidence, any of the security cam footage. Yeah, they're leaving. Oh, but they got a custodian. One of the girls was there, and then they were just taking them back and forth to the mall, and don't see that armed guard at the front gate when they were going out and getting Domino's pizza. He was also engaged in the trafficking, right? See, no exculpatory evidence there at all whatsoever. Wasn't debunked at all. Wasn't debunked at all. There's no proof there at all whatsoever. What are you talking about? The WhatsApp messages. There's more messages that are out there that show that they also plotted to lie. But shut up. Like these fucking dorks, man. The Tate haters that are out there. Not, man, because, recency bias aside, it's close. It's getting close. Where you got the Trump haters from 2015 all the way through until today. And then you got the Tate haters as well, like TDS, man. It's one of the most powerful forces, regardless of the strain that you catch in the world today. It's getting close, man. It's getting real close. So if you thought the extensions are decided by several judges, you are wrong. Let's take a look at what happens. Oh yes, and also to just double back on this stuff, according to Myron, Fresh and Fit Myron, who's also, got some inside sources when it comes to this case as well. If there were any charges that were to be discovered during this very lengthy, drawn-out investigation, it's not going to go to a jury trial. Like, it won't be a 12 jurors of their peers, deciding their fate on any of the numerous amounts of charges they could possibly find. It's from the bench. It would be a bench trial. So this judge, who we're going to be looking at, will be deciding the fate of any of the crew that ends up getting caught up in this stuff, which should make your hair on the back of your neck stand up just a little bit, because theoretically, if we get to a point in time where there's some charges being laid, you have an activist feminist deciding the fate of somebody who the internet has already labeled as a misogynist, and his brother, and his assistant, and the other assistant as well. So, how you feeling about your safety and security abroad now, The recent extension means that they will be in prison without being charged for 120 days. During this time, they have had several hearings where their preventative detention was extended. One in January, one in March, or one in February, another one likely in April. He also had a bail hearing that was denied because reasons. Oy, oy. Okay, but it was the same. It was the same judge who extended the preventative detention for all 4 of them. Okay, we kind of got that. That doesn't really make it that much better at all whatsoever. Do I still got that one? I got to make some adjustments. Nope, that one's not going to help at all. Yeah, none of them's really better. It's just kind of cutting off the first letter. You know, if you don't believe me, you know, just fucking look for yourself. The former police judge, Catalina Cruceru, sentenced the Tate brothers for the second time to extend their detention, although it is a random assignment and there are 34 judges in the criminal section of the Bucharest court. Very interesting, very interesting. Nothing based about this at all, except for their reporting. On public information, Catalina Cruceru is the same judge that extended the preventative detention in all the hearings except for one. Interesting. There are 34 random judges. 34 random... See, you can see it right there. Maybe I'll just leave it like this instead of just blowing everything out, because that makes more sense anyways. So, 34 judges, and you can get a random poll, and only once out of the 5 different hearings that they've had, because, yeah, they've had the initial detention hearing, and then they had the extension in January. They also have a bail hearing in between there. Can't quite remember, but I think bail was initially denied flatly, and it wasn't heard again until middle of March, right? Yeah, middle of March. That was a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, you had the initial hearing, then you had the extension in January, the extension in February, the bail hearing, and then yes, the very, very brief, very, very expedited detention hearing to decide that, yeah, we're just going to keep you. What's the new evidence that you found? Yeah, we're just going to keep you. All right. The one hearing she did not preside over, the judge ruled that Georgiana and Luana should be... Oh, shit. That's very interesting because, yeah, there was a little bit of hope, and that was at the end of February where the girls were going to be going home until an appeal was heard, and it's like, actually, the girls can stay in prison as well. It's like, the fuck? Like, it's all just ludicrous. It's all ludicrous on the face of it that anybody's still in jail and that they can't just be simply on detention of some sort, you know, just outside, house arrest, if you will. Like, there's really no other way to explain it at this point in time. Like, even if it was a 30-day detention, while that's inhumane to begin with, it's like, okay, cool. Those are your laws that you have in Romania. I understand, even though I don't like it, but you got to deal with the world the way that it is instead of the way that you want it to be. The way dealing in shoulds, coulds, and woulds is just going to end up in heartbreak, so you have to deal with the world the way that it is. And those are the rules of Romania. And so, yeah, okay, here's your 30 days. And then after that, and then it just starts to get more puzzling after they keep saying in the press releases from the Romanian side, from the government prosecution side, oh yeah, any day now, the evidence, yeah, we got mountains of evidence. What is that evidence? Mountains of it. Good stuff. So Andrew Tate's female associates, Georgiana, Manuela, Nagel, all right, and Luana, Alexandria, Radu. Fucking phraseology in Romanian. Okay, released under strict conditions. Yes, house arrest, and they would have been confined. I actually never got to the bottom of that. Like, where would they be house arrested? Which location at the Tate compound? Because Georgiana was Andrew's right-hand woman, was his assistant, still is, as far as anybody knows. So would she be allowed to go back to the compound, or what was the way? But whatever, it's been rendered moot anyway. So who is Catalina Cruceru? Catalina, just like Luana, worked as a police officer for 9 years until 2012 when she received a direct admission into the judiciary. Interesting, because you can't really speak about the judicial selections when it comes to Romania. I'm no expert when it comes to this stuff. I'm just a simple man who got a license to pick things up and put things down, and I got a certain curious nature when it comes to certain things. So say that I'm an expert in any form or fashion when it comes to Romanian law, I'd be bullshitting you, and I wouldn't be doing that, of course. But the way that it works around the rest of the world, though, something I can speak on, at least for the developed world. I don't know what judicial selection in the French Congo looks like, but in the West, normally you get a JD, you become a practicing lawyer, all that stuff. You get admitted to the bar, you practice for a few years, and then you can submit your name for an appointment, or you can get elected to a different position when it comes to being a judge. And normally the lawyers who want to become judges are kind of terrible, shitty lawyers to begin with that don't really make enough money to begin with, and that they just want the power. They'd rather take a trade-off and a cut in pay in order to be, more powerful. It's like wanting to be an Instagram model and hoping eventually one day you'll amass 100 million followers and, just crack the pantheon of Taylor Swift and a couple of the Kardashian kids. It's what every judge wants, in the back of their mind. It's like, eventually I'll make it to the Supreme Court. And it's like, no, you're stupid. There's 9 of those motherfuckers. It's a small club. And you have to think in every state in the United States, there's hundreds of judges, and they ultimately all in some form or fashion want to make it up to the Supreme Court, and it's just not going to fucking happen, bro. So it's just odd to see somebody who was a police officer, so somebody who was working with the prosecution, and a lot of former prosecutors end up, taken onto the bench because, well, it's just a soft handoff. You're working for the government if you're working for the prosecution, so to just, put on a robe and get a gavel, it's kind of a smooth transition that way. So she just skipped that pesky, practicing law part. Like, she knows a couple of statutes and she understands certain procedures. It's just, you don't see that often. Can't speak about Romania specifically, but for the rest of the world, it's interesting, to say the least. Question is, is this personal for Catalina? What do you mean by that? Okay. Again, just take my word for it if everything's been cut off. Okay. It's interesting that out of the 3 extensions, 2 today's and the one in January, were decided by the same judge, Catalina Cruceru, who worked as a judicial police officer. Okay, so a judicial police officer. Now, DICOT, the arresting agency for Romania against the Tates and crew. They are, the way that I've heard it explained is DICOT is kind of the FBI meets the Department of Justice wrapped up into one. So she was working on the same level, the judicial police officer, a judicial police officer. So she was working hand in hand with the government, with the prosecution that way, that closely. It's interesting. It's very, very interesting. For 9 years until she succeeded in the competition for direct admission to the judiciary in 2012. So she submitted her name and they're like, oh, okay, cool. We like you. You got soft hands and a warm mouth. I don't know. If it's not personal, why have the Romanian judiciary not ensured that different judges rule on the extension? So that they at least give the veneer of justice. I would also understand if there was like a consistent through line. This is your case. You're going to be deciding on it. And then when it comes to appeals, then you could probably have different judges weigh in on this. Like, I would understand that. And I believe that would be consistent throughout the rest of the developed world. But again, Romania, different standards, like this whole preventative detention thing, seems like a unique little tick to the Romanian system because that shit doesn't happen anywhere else. You got to get everything sewed up in 48 to 72 hours. Canada, United States, UK, most of continental Europe, like you figure this shit out or, get the fuck out. But not there, man. 180 days and they're going to they're going to squeeze out every last fucking drop. Okay, so there are 35 judges in this branch of the judiciary, and yet there have only been 2 judges presiding over the extension. I'll just read it from here. So there are 34 judges, criminal section of the Bucharest court, which caused rumors and suspicions among the lawyers in the British millionaires. Okay, our sources say that there would have preferred a pure-blood judge and not a former judicial police officer. Yeah, it's interesting. Because, to play devil's advocate when it comes to judicial police officer, if there's anybody who's going to know about this type of investigation, like, nobody knows what the kind of crimes that she was actually specialized in when it came to this. Like, you're a judicial police officer. Great. Okay, so you worked hand in hand with the prosecution. Did you see a bunch of murder cases, assault cases, robberies, like violent crime? Or were you doing white-collar crime when it comes to like money laundering or fraud, anything like that? Or was this your proclivity? Was this your steez? All of these sex crimes that are being alleged. Like she could be an expert when it comes to discerning this stuff. But then, of course, this is also the judge that decided, no. Those girls, they've been brainwashed. All right. Catalina Cruceru was appointed to a role as judge by ex-president Tristan Basucu. Forgive me on that one. Okay, so he was the president for 10 years between 04 and 14. Okay, nothing inherently wrong with that. That's like whenever somebody points out, well, see, that judge was appointed by the Clinton administration. The only time where I actually think that it was kind of a detrimental appointment and worth pulling up was when Parler, you remember Parler? Oh yeah, that was that social media platform that was threatening the viability of Twitter and then just got snuffed out in the crib. Yeah, when they were suing Amazon Web Services for pulling them offline for no good reason. The judge appointed to that case was a woman who was appointed by Jimmy fucking Carter. You've got a sophisticated tech case and you have somebody from the silent generation presiding over it? Bruh, you don't understand that. Yeah, no. Oh, that one platform, they're asking for an extension, but yeah, if they can't have access to being on the line, well, they can figure it out in about a month. But if a social media platform, if a website is not online for a month, it's dead, it's gone, it's dusted. While I liked Parler a lot, and a lot of people were seeing a lot of success, like, it was dead afterwards. Amazon killed Parler, and nobody cares. Nobody cares. They didn't. Oh no, Kanye was gonna buy Parler, but now it's still owned by somebody associated to Jared Kushner. Yeah, that's kind of fucking weird, don't you think? Anyways. A high court ruled Tristan was an informant for the secret police. Okay, so the president was an informant to the secret police. Okay, that's why Romania is number 2 when it comes to countries that commit the most corruption in the entirety of the European Union. Funny, it's investigated by the European Union, by the way. Number 1's Russia, which is okay, whatever. But yes, to the secret police, considered the most brutal police force from the communist era. These links are concerning. They're very interesting. They are very interesting for sure. It is time for things to change. We cannot have a society where people are held without charge. I would love to see it, man. And if it was anywhere else in the world, wouldn't be the case, man. If this is a Romania specific problem, but that's also a reason, man. Another good reason, because I'll be doing a video. I'll definitely be doing a video right before, hopefully on the 10th or hopefully on the 9th or the 10th. We have some good information, but in Miami and in London, there's supposed to be peaceful Tate protests. Peaceful. Keep it peaceful, man, because there's going to be a lot of eyes peering into this one, especially with the new information that we have here today. So yeah, in London and Miami, there's going to be a bunch of people down there. It'll be great. If I could attend, oh, fuck, man, I would definitely be there, 100%. And I'll try to do my part in any form or fashion by putting out some good information if there are any developments as well, or at least shouting this out whenever I have the opportunity. But like I said, man, there's going to be increased scrutiny, especially on that Miami situation. And it needs to stay peaceful. Has to stay peaceful, because there's going to be a ton of eyes on it now, because here we have Tina Glandian, okay, the U.S. attorney when it comes to the Tate brothers. I think that she's just representing the Tates specifically at this point in time. She's got some good news, because I brought this out the last time that we talked about the Tate situation, that the United States Embassy, because you remember, the Tate brothers, Andrew and Tristan, were both born in the United States, south side of Chicago, lived in Indiana for a hot second until their family broke up, and then they moved over to the UK, okay, so they are United States citizens. Why isn't the United States Embassy doing anything about this? But now, finally, seemingly a shot out of the fucking blue, man, the United States Embassy is finally taking interest in this case. Fucking yay. I'm big happy when it comes to this stuff. You do, in fact, love to see it. And it's a 3-minute long clip, and we'll take a look at it, man. I wanna hear what she has to say, because I've just read the caption on this one. So from the Tate brothers, U.S. Attorney Tina Glandian clears up some of the misconceptions around the Tates. We are grateful that the U.S. Embassy is taking an interest in this case. So, without further ado. Okay, speak.
I'm Tina Glandian. I'm
Hi,
a U.S. attorney, and I represent Andrew and Tristan Tate alongside their Romania legal defense team.
She's clearly
I wanted
reading.
to respond to recent news accounts about a legal letter sent on behalf of the Tate brothers, which has wrongfully been interpreted by some people as an effort to intimidate witnesses in the criminal investigation pending in Romania. I'd like to provide some context for the letter that was sent.
About the letter, I'm thinking that it might have to do with the lawsuit, because the last time that I've heard her speak on any of this stuff, it was in connection to the what was it alleged $300 million lawsuit, or there was this other spurgy thing that apparently the war room in general, not anybody within the organization that the Tates own and operate, but the war room put out a hit on YouTuber KSI. Like, what the fuck is actually going on there? That seems absolutely ridiculous and kind of like a clout jacking attempt for somebody who just decides to peddle OnlyFans girls on his YouTube accounts. Fucking dork. Anyways, show us your rape face, you fucking creep.
In April of last year, 2 women, including an American woman, made allegations that the Tate brothers were holding them against their will. When police raided the Tate brothers' residence in Romania, they saw there was no evidence of these claims and the Tate brothers were not arrested.
Yeah.
Through their attorneys, they immediately filed criminal complaints against the 2 women in Romania for deceiving the police.
Okay, yeah.
At the end of January, after having been detained for an entire month, and seeing that in the 9 months that had passed, there had been no developments in the criminal case against the 2 women, as U.S. citizens, they decided to pursue their legal rights here in the U.S. against the American woman.
That makes sense, yeah.
My firm had no involvement in sending the cease and desist letter, nor did the Romanian legal team representing the Tate brothers in the criminal investigation. The cease and desist letter was sent by civil attorneys in the U.S. because it pertains to a civil defamation case which will be filed here in the U.S. Every day that
it wouldn't be too different from Johnny Depp and Amber Heard situation, where it's like, okay, 2 United States citizens are bickering about certain things, so you settle it out in civil court because that's the only way that you're gonna find your solution that you're looking for. So that's what she's referring to. So yes, this is that lawsuit that's out there, and you're intimidating witnesses. Well, no charges that have been laid yet, and there seems to be very measurable damages against the Tate brothers right now because they're being held in Romania for, what are they on, a couple days shy of 90 days. Like, okay, how many millions of dollars have they missed out because they have been confined to a prison cell off the back of 2 spurious women that didn't get what they want? Because let's run it back. One chick was found out by her boyfriend to be fucking on him behind his back, thanks to her being superfluous and just being a little bit too scandalous on Instagram. Very, very interesting. Okay, and then the other one was a former stripper from the UK that hails from Moldova. Aliona, I think her name was, if I remember correctly, tried to extort Andrew for 300,000 euros to set her and a family member. I can't remember if it was a mother or a sister. I think it was a sister, but regardless, 300,000 euros tried to extort from Andrew. And then he's like, hit the brakes, bitch. And she's colluding with Emily. That's the Miami chick who has had 3 previous false allegations come out on her. Run away from home, put similar false sex crimes on somebody's name, who decided to do the old Kurt Cobain special. Another accusation on top of that, and now this Tate situation. So a confirmed liar with a consistent history of lying as well. That's the quality of your witnesses. I don't necessarily know if that's witness intimidation at this point in time. To steal a phrase to the left, it's almost like it's witness accountability. Anyways, what else does Tina have to say?
The Tate brothers are unlawfully detained. They are not only harmed on a personal level, but they also incur substantial monetary damages to the various businesses which they were running before their sudden arrest.
Yeah.
So they have a duty under the law here to mitigate their damages, and their civil attorney believed a cease and desist letter was a necessary first step before ultimately filing the civil lawsuit.
Yep.
To be clear, the Tate brothers are not trying to intimidate anyone. They just want the truth to come out, and they're having their attorneys pursue all appropriate legal action to clear their names.
That makes sense.
We are grateful that the U.S. Embassy has now taken an interest in this case.
Thank God.
I know that one of their highest priorities is to provide assistance to U.S. citizens detained abroad.
Yeah.
Like they've done for countless other U.S. citizens, and recently for Brittany Griner and Taylor Dudley.
Yo, just, if you guys don't remember, if the name sounds familiar, let's just go ahead and cast your mind back to, I think that was the end of the, no, it was just earlier this year as well. Brittany, I like to bring my vape cartridges into Russia. She actually broke a law. She broke a tangible, punishable law. And it was proven. You can think whatever you want about the trial itself, but she brought THC cartridges. She pled to a deal. She was sitting in a jail, but because she represents the best of the United States, Joe Biden decided to trade a fucking arms dealer while Russia's at war for some black lesbian WNBA superstar for a fucking photo op. Yo, but here you have United States citizens being detained, and nobody's coming up with the goods on the prosecution side, but they continue to just keep them jailed up. Prior to this statement, the embassy has been, yeah, no, don't call us, we'll call you. But now it's starting to get to a point where if you're on social media like Twitter and stuff like that, wherever there's communications going on, you'll see the Tate name trend fairly consistently. And we know how much big tech is in the ear of the Democrat Party. So the fact that they're actually taking note of this, I do appreciate that quite a bit.
We are optimistic that with their assistance, we can finally get the Tate brothers home.
Yeah.
In the face of their prolonged detention, we must remember that the Tate brothers are presumed innocent, and false allegations can cause irreparable harm. Just this month, a 22-year-old UK woman was sentenced to 8.5 years in prison for falsely claiming she was raped and trafficked and forced to work as a prostitute over the course of several years.
That was Elaine.
She went so far as to cause injuries to her own face with a hammer. The false accusations in that case led to multiple attempted suicides by the accused men within weeks of the false allegations. The Tate brothers strongly deny any wrongdoing and are resolute in maintaining their innocence. The bedrock of justice is the presumption of innocence and due process. We are simply asking for both. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't need to see her reach over and, shut off her camera or anything like that. So that's good. That's good that the U.S. Embassy is, I don't know necessarily what to the extent of taking interest is. Are they going to send somebody over there? Are they going to contact anybody in the U.S. Embassy over in Romania? Are we going to see any movement on this stuff? And like I said, man, because of that those upcoming protests on the 11th of April, there's going to be some eyes on this one. And I think that if these go off well, if there's enough people, if there's enough support, if it maintains and it stays peaceful, that could bode well, ultimately. But if there's going to be some agitators that are going to be in there, that could be a problem as well, and those boys ain't going to see the light of day before the end of June, which I really don't hope. I really don't hope, but I could also see it happening. So hopefully there's some more movement before then, and, shout out to Tina for giving everybody some of the inside scoop that's out there, because at this point in time, any news is good news, because any of the evidence that comes out just seems like it's good for the Tate side. But if the activist judges aren't going to be looking at it, well, we're up shit creek without a paddle. But again, you just need to, hey man, we got the truth on our side, to be completely honest. So if given enough time, justice will prevail. So yeah, normally, and this is where I'm going to divest from the coverage here for a second, just give myself a little shameless plug at the beginning. Not any of that hack YouTuber stuff. It's just going to be something a little bit different here, just in a little bit, okay? So within a couple of hours of this going up, and I'm taking a look at the clock, and some of these videos are taking longer than I thought, but within a few hours or so, there's going to be a live stream on the channel if you want a little change of pace. We're going to be taking a look at this boy right here, the Piers Morgan Ron DeSantis interview. I'm thinking it's going to be pretty interesting. There's a totally full uncut, ladies, interview that's up hour 5, so I'll probably be going live for about an hour and a half to about 2 hours. It should be fun to break down that interview, so if you'd like to hop on through, I'll be posting a link to the stream itself. I'll be going live on the channel and have the chat going. We'll be able to have a couple of laughs this evening and see where it goes for there. So yeah, I'd appreciate it if you want to stop by, and if not, you can always catch a replay. It'll be on the channel anyway. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.